finally arrived home from a week in China, but what the hell have I returned to? In the first week of 2025, we've had Cybertrucks exploding, cars running through crowds of people, huge, deadly fireworks disasters, Kim Jong Un apparently banning hot dogs in North Korea for a bizarre reason. Oh, and even reports of a mysterious outbreak in China that's overwhelming hospitals. Donald Trump wanting to buy a country. I was hoping 2025 would be different to last year, at least the start. But the Season 5 trailer is looking crazier than ever. We have got a lot to go through, so I'll stop the yap and start the crack. For the first time in 2025, let's get cracking! I've also returned a tea drinker for some reason. Okay, where do we even start? Perhaps let's start in the last final dying days of 2024. Because the year that brought us so many incidents with Boeing waved goodbye with one final one. Tragically, on the 29th, a plane in South Korea crashed, ending the lives of 179 people. Only 2 survived. And we're also finding out just now, thanks to a report published by JTBC News, despite it being claimed that that plane had no history of any accidents or maintenance issues, turns out this plane was involved in a collision over 3 years ago. In fact, according to this report, the tail of the Boeing plane was damaged after it hit the runway as it was taking off. And when it continued to fly and not land because of that, they were fined more than $100,000. A couple of days later, on New Year's Eve in Hawaii, a lit bundle of mortar-style fireworks tipped over, shot into a huge crate of unlit fireworks, and that caused such a huge explosion that it shattered windows across the street, killing 3 women. One of them was only 23 years old and injuring more than 20. And then in New Orleans, just 3 hours into 2025, a 42-year-old U.S. Army veteran named Shamsud Din Jabbar drove a rented pickup truck into a crowd of people celebrating the arrival of 2025, resulting in the death of 15 people and injuring more than 30. The latest updates from this event is that the police say that the attack was 100% inspired by ISIS, and that even in the months prior, he made 2 separate trips to that street to discreetly record using Meta glasses. The very next morning, at around 8 a.m. on January the 1st, while still people were waking up and hearing about the previous news, another U.S. veteran, Matthew Burke, who coincidentally served at the same military base as Jabbar, rented a Tesla Cybertruck using the same app as Jabbar did, and then proceeded to load it with explosives and park it outside of Trump Tower in Vegas and then detonate them while he was still inside. Now, despite these eerie connections between the two, the FBI say that there is no definitive link between the 2 individuals. They say that Matthew Burke's motive for the attack came from these 2 letters which were found on his phone. They say that he described this attack as a wake-up call for the United States, criticizing government leadership and expressing a desire to draw attention to national issues. Matthew denied that the bombing was a terrorist attack, framing it as a political statement instead. All of that first day of 2025. And you could just imagine, I was there in China where I promised that I wasn't going to report on the news while I was there. I signed a form, literally. And I was thinking, what the actual hell is going on? Oh, and also while I was in China, I started getting tagged in none other than a Daily Mail video, but it was about this mysterious outbreak happening in China. I was like, what the hell is going on? So, I guess let's talk about that too. So firstly, I haven't brought it home. Let's just cut that shit straight away. And then secondly, the truth of this mysterious, crazy disease doesn't seem that crazy. Now, well, yes, a lot of credible media outlets have started reporting on this recent outbreak of the human metapneumovirus. It's not a new, mysterious virus. It was first identified by Dutch researchers all the way back in 2001, and studies show that this virus has existed for decades. So it's not like Season 1, if you get what I mean, because that one was a new disease which hadn't infected humans before, which drove that pandemic-level spread. With this one, countries around the world have already experienced outbreaks of the let's call it HMPV, including the United States. Research online says that it typically causes mild cold-like symptoms, but also that it can lead to more severe illnesses in vulnerable populations. And to address the videos of all of those people in a packed hospital, well, first of all, we don't even know if those patients had HMPV or one of the many different viruses that go around during the winter. So, at least as of right now, I think it's safe to say that Season 5 isn't bringing back any main characters from Season 1. yet. And while we're on the topic of wild reports going around in the first week of 2025, another one's going around that Kim Jong Un has kicked off the year by banning hot dogs for being too Western. Oh, and also that cooking them is now an act of treason. This is genuinely what a lot of, somewhat credible media outlets are talking about. So The Sun reports, which, hint of salt, they say, and this is word for word, bar for bar, anyone caught selling them on the streets or cooking them at home risks deportation to labor camps for cooking hot dogs. So, I mean, I don't know. I know North Korea is a crazy country and they've done crazy things, but labor camps for eating hot dogs because they're too Western seems like something you'd find like a report on The Onion, let's be honest. And then even as for like the sources that all of these different media outlets are claiming it to be, they're just kind of citing each other. So we don't know the actual source of this rumor. I mean, the only way to frickin' find out is North Korea, open your borders. Then I'll go there and I'll find out if I can. I want to know if I can eat hot dogs in your country. The Sun said that they spoke to a vendor in North Korea, and they said that it's not just hot dogs. Another Korean-American food called budae-jjigae, or army stew, is also banned. And if you're caught selling it, shut down. This was apparently, according to this vendor, because it was used during the Korean War using a surplus of US military supplies. So too Western as well. Other claims include that if a couple, husband and wife, get divorced, both of them could serve 6 months in a labor camp, and also that anyone celebrating Christmas could face execution. So, I'm just telling you what... You make of it what you will. Oh, we're talking about crazy countries though. Also in the first week of 2025, Donald Trump is reportedly working on a deal to buy Greenland. Yes, purchase a country. You ever thought that would be... Imagine actually getting onto the level, just in life as a human, where purchasing an entire country is in your, like, to-do list for the day. What the flip? Oh, what's crazy is that, and I didn't even know about this, but America has actually tried to buy Greenland before. And I mean, at the start, I think everyone kind of thought that Trump was joking because he threw Canada in there as well. Like, oh, Justin Trudeau will be the 51st governor. But then, today, it took a whole more serious twist because Trump is now sending his son, Don Jr., along with various other representatives to travel there today. So... Is this serious? Or Trump even posted last night saying Greenland is an incredible place and the people will benefit tremendously if and when it becomes part of our nation. Bro said when? What? Now, while Greenland does have its own government and it is autonomous, it still technically remains under the Kingdom of Denmark. Haven't referred to the Denmark as a kingdom in a while. And in 1946, the US offered Denmark $100 million for Greenland, but were swiftly denied. And you might be thinking, why? Why do you want the country in the first place, Trump? Well, firstly, its location is pretty ideal for military bases and shipping routes. And secondly, and I think you know this one was coming, it is very resource rich. But, and here's what makes it cool, is all of those resources are largely untapped. I mean, keep in mind, the population of Greenland, 56,000. So... yeah, and I guess on the population point, it's important to note that Greenland can't be simply purchased like it's a piece of real estate. Its people, although there are few, have the right to self-determination under international law, meaning they must consent to any major changes in governments or leadership. But I guess if enough people in Greenland wanted to be bought by the USA, who knows? Maybe a 51st state is on the cards for America. I mean, America bought freaking Alaska off of Russia. And that was for like 7.2 million, which is freaking pennies, even at the time. Okay, I think we're waffling a little bit on these. Let's rapid fire news. Some of the other crazy shit that's happened in the first week. Remember, everything coming first week. New York City became the first city in America to implement congestion charges, where cars will now pay up to $9 a day. I mean, in Europe, in London, literally. Alex, when did we start that? No, don't even bother. A police officer in Zambia got drunk and set free 13 prisoners to go and celebrate New Year's. The suspects he released were facing various charges, including assault, theft, and burglary, and none of the escapees or the actual officer have been found and apprehended yet. So, on the loose. The donkey that inspired Eddie Murphy's character in Shrek died at 30 years old. The world's oldest person at 116 years old died. Aubrey Plaza's husband, Jeff Baena, who was a filmmaker himself, also passed away at only 47 years old. Scientists discovered the largest dinosaur footprint site ever found in the UK, dating back 166 million years. You could potentially claim up to $100 back from Apple, because they've just agreed to pay $95 million to settle a lawsuit accusing Siri of routinely recording private conversations. I mean, my doubt is that Siri's even capable of doing that. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Hey Siri, do something at all. Like literally anything. Oh, shock. God, I hate Siri. Also this week, Reuters report that Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and this one's for Alex, he lives in Canada, is anticipated to step down this week, possibly as early as today. And that's a pretty big deal because he's been the Prime Minister of Canada for over 9 years. That's a long-ass time. But apparently now, even before they get to their elections in October, there's been growing pressure from the public and members of his party to step down. Oh, and then also, just to round out the first week of 2025, and if you're in America, this is going to be week 2 for you, the US are now bracing for what could be, quote, the worst winter storm in over a decade, putting 30 out of 50 states under weather alerts, and some of them are even declaring states of emergency. Now, the reason they say that this one is going to be so brutal is that it's because it's a polar vortex, which is basically a massive blast of Arctic air that spins around the North Pole, but occasionally shifts southwards, which is what's happening now. They say that wind chills in the Midwest could drop as low as minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is cold enough to cause frostbite within minutes. And this isn't just like a cold snap. This is a weather event that could literally shut down cities, cause billions of dollars in damages, and make normally warm areas feel like the Arctic. Genuinely, it is pretty damn crazy. So everyone in the areas affected, stay safe. First week of 25, everyone. What the hell? And while it was amazing to get away and create some insane content, which I am editing now, I cannot wait for you to see it, from China, it is also equally as amazing to be back. Subscribe to the channel if you are deep in your winter arc, like the video, and I will see you in the next one. Woo! We got a lot to go through, so excuse me? Now, while yes, a lot of credible media outlets have started reporting on this recent outbreak of what's called the humanoid what the f is it called? Cheers to everyone that's drinking tea in 2025.